Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. As you guys know, about, let me say, a week or so ago, we produced the show where we're reacting to the comments that Charles Barkley made as it pertained to LeBron James and the Lakers. As you guys know, the Lakers got eliminated in round one, and there were these quotes that were circulating around the internet. We reacted to it. A bunch of people reacted to it, where it said, Charles Barkley says LeBron James cannot, no, he says if LeBron James loses this series in 5 games, he's not a top 5 player. We did a show about it. We reacted to it. People like Gilbert Arenas reacted to it. And as a matter of fact, we're going to get to what Charles had to say about Gilbert Arenas a little bit later. Obviously, depend on the order in which you're watching today's shows. So we did all of that, right? And then yesterday, we produced some shows reacting to what Charles Barkley said about what it's going to be like for him to work at ESPN, right? We talked about that. He said they're essentially not going to bully him. He's not going to be up there twerking for LeBron and the Lakers and all of these guys. Fantastic. So this morning, I woke up, was doing some research, and I came across some quotes from Charles Barkley from the interview that he actually had on Outkick, where he spoke about working at ESPN. And apparently those comments that we reacted to, that Gilbert Arenas reacted to, they actually were fake. That Charles Barkley actually never said that. And as a matter of fact, it turns out that not only did Charles never say that, but he then decided to double down on the reason why he has LeBron James as the 7th best player of all time behind Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan. So now what we want to do is want to play exactly what Charles Barkley had to say on Outkick about LeBron and where he ranks all time and his top 5. And then we're going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to Charles Barkley here.
You said LeBron, if they lose that series, shouldn't be considered a top 5 player. You sticking by that?
No, I never said that. First of all, I don't know where that came from.
No.
I've always said LeBron on my list. He's number 7 all time. I got Wilt, Kareem, Bill Russell, Michael and Oscar. I got Kobe 6 and LeBron 7. I've never said. I saw fools talking about that. When I said fools, I'm talking like I saw Gilbert Arenas, who's an idiot, talking about, everybody's got a podcast trying to be important and significant. I've said LeBron is the 7th greatest basketball player in my opinion, and that's not like I'm saying he's the 20th, but I didn't care about that series. I thought they would win that series. I was actually kind of surprised. I didn't think they were contenders, but I didn't think they were going to win the championship.
You know, one of the reasons I turned down, and you talk about this all the time, when I was at ESPN, they offered me 2 different radio national shows. And I said, I don't want to talk about LeBron James every freaking day, or Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers or all the bullshit you got to talk about. I don't want to do that every day. Now you're going to ESPN, and you've been critical of ESPN, particularly their coverage of the Lakers. What are your thoughts as this is your last season heading over?
Yeah, Dan, I'm not going to change. I'm going to do what I want to do. Nobody's going to tell me what to say or what to do. I thought I get upset. They're like the Lakers are contenders. I'm like, no, they're not. No, they're not contenders. Kendrick Perkins, who don't know his ass from a hole in the wall. He's like, the Lakers are contenders. Lakers are contenders, and I said they're not contenders. And clearly, if you lose in the first round, you're not a contender. But I'm not going to change my personality. Ain't nobody, they can't fire me. I make too much money to get fired.
Fantastic. So you heard what he had to say. Now, let me tell y'all something. This is going to piss off a lot of people. I can imagine people even listen to what Charles had to say already getting triggered. Because in their minds, it's like, you have LeBron ranked as the 7th best player of all time. Now, if Gilbert Arenas and these guys get a whiff of these comments, they absolutely going to go off. But the thing is this, it's his list. Did you also know that Charles has Kobe Bryant outside of his top 5? Are y'all aware of that? He has Kobe number 6. So what are we going to do? Start attacking him for having Kobe Bryant as the 6th greatest player? It's his list. Now, some people may take exception with the fact that there's such a huge gap between Michael Jordan and LeBron on his list. But I think what that's saying is that Charles truly believes that that gap exists. He also mentioned players like Wilt Chamberlain, who some people like and other people like. Some people have ranked highly and other people don't. But it's his list. Now, to LeBron fans, this is going to be, Charles is just a hater. He's just a hater. And I think that this is one of the reasons why it is going to be fireworks when he gets to ESPN. This is going to be one of the reasons for takes like this. The fact of the matter is, I can't think of anybody that works at ESPN that has had a take similar to Charles Barkley. I can't think of anybody that's on ESPN that has LeBron James number 5. It's almost like as if in order to get a job there, you got to say, hey, man, LeBron is at the very least top 3 or top 2. Because if you think you're going to get a job at ESPN saying that LeBron is outside the top 5, there's no way you're going to get a job. Why? Because of the amount of narratives that these guys produce every single day. So when you have a guy like Charles Barkley on a panel with Stephen A. Smith, Kendrick Perkins, and all of these guys up there honey slinging, and he comes out there and says, man, you guys are crazy. LeBron is not a top 2 behind Michael Jordan. He's number 7. It's going to be fireworks. And I think it's going to be it's going to make great TV. It's going to be great entertainment. Now, will the people at ESPN like that? I don't know. He's already made it clear. You guys heard in the soundbite that if they try to pressure him into saying things he doesn't believe, he's going to quit. And if he quits, they're going to owe him 7 years worth of money. Now, in terms of LeBron being ranked 7th all time, let's just think about that for a second. Where do I have? Well, I used to have LeBron James ranked number 4. Excuse me. Number 4 all time. I used to have him behind Jordan, Kareem, Kobe. But then because of his antics, because of the foolishness, I moved him out of my top 5. I think I have him number 6 or number 7 or number 6, one of those numbers. Obviously, people are going to get pissed off. But everybody has their reason. Some people have him as the GOAT. I think, is it Jay Williams or Kendrick Perkins has him as the GOAT? Nick Wright has him as the GOAT. Shannon Sharp has him as the GOAT. Now, those people's credibility has come into question, and whether or not these guys are actually sincerely saying what they really believe or not, we'll leave that for another day. But everybody has their own opinion. I just think the issue is that someone with Charles Barkley's voice and his platform is saying something like that. And I think that's the reason why his comments are not going to go over well with a lot of these LeBron supporters and a lot of these people that like to plant narratives out there in the media. So I think that, look, hey, if he has the guts to say what he believes, let him have his opportunity. It's up for you to now debate him and say, you know, hey, Charles, I think you're wrong. But hey, these are just... It looks like we're still in the playoffs, and one of the guys that's not there is Yoda himself, JJ Redick. His ass is at home, right? You know, the guy that some of y'all out here calling Pat Riley, his ass is at home. And during the regular season last year, oh, look at JJ's brilliance. This guy is just a savant. I've never seen anybody coach a game like this, right? And a lot of people bought into it. A lot of people bought into it and thought that this guy was going to work signs and wonders. And all throughout this season, I was noticing various points where JJ Redick would lose his damn mind. He would be breaking clipboards, having temper tantrums on the sideline. And I'm like, this is not normal. But a lot of y'all tried to say, oh, it's passion and all of this stuff. But the thing really reared its ugly head. When did that happen? In the playoffs. When he started making some questionable coaching decisions. I don't know, like playing his starting 5 an entire second half of an NBA game. A starting 5 that was comprised of a 40-year-old player. A 40-year-old player, which he was heavily criticized for. He was also criticized for his inability to make adjustments. And then to make matters worse, he would then go up there and during the post-game interview and basically have an attitude with the reporters. Go off on them. Oh, you think that I don't consult my dad? That's a weird, and then walks off. And I'm saying to myself, what normal first-year rookie head coach gets to get away with the stuff that JJ Redick gets away with? But a lot of you guys, oh no, man, JJ just showing passion, man. JJ just showing passion. But now that the dust is settled, it looks like a lot of people are beginning to take notice of the thing that I complained about or I brought up, which is JJ Redick seems to have absolutely zero emotional stability. For you to be behaving like that and throwing tantrums like that, that isn't normal. And one of those people that pointed this out was Jay Williams. Now, Jay Williams recently did a playoff segment on Stephen A. Smith's podcast, right? And we're talking about the Celtics and all of these different things. And then they brought up the topic about JJ Redick and the coaching job that he did for the Los Angeles Lakers. And Stephen A. Smith asked Jay Williams directly, what do you think about the job JJ did as the coach for the Lakers in his first year? And what's one of the things that Jay Williams brought up? JJ Redick's inability to control his emotions, which ended up hurting his team in the playoffs. So what we want to do now is going to play exactly what Jay Williams had to say about JJ Redick on the Stephen A. Smith show, and then we're going to come back and react to his comments. Take a listen to that there.
What did you think about the job JJ Redick did coaching the Los Angeles Lakers this season and these playoffs? And how surprised were you that they ended up home in 5?
I wasn't as surprised that they ended up home in 5. I thought game 4 could have went a different way down the stretch if the ball bounces a different way. The calculated bet of playing his starters the third and fourth quarter is an unorthodox one. But if they had lost by 10 or 15, I was like, okay, what are you doing? It was, and I hear what people say about how that then translates into game 5.
Okay.
How do I say this the correct way? I'm just going to say it. He lost the, I don't know what happened with Jackson Hayes. I don't know how you just lose confidence to that extent in Jackson Hayes, especially when you're getting beat up on the blocks, when you give up 18 offensive rebounds, right? You need size in there. But there was something that I do trust JJ's intuition. There is a learning curve that I think JJ will have in this league. I do often wonder, though, and SA, you and I know him very well. When he engages in battle and he sees red, sometimes that genius gets combated a little bit with the competitive fire where this is what it has to be. And I think that's something that we still need to see him be fine-tuned with. We've seen him lose his cool a little bit. You've seen it. You've seen it when you've exchanged with him a little bit. It gets heated. Then it kind of becomes personal. He loses the strategy aspect of it. I'm wondering if that happened a little bit throughout this aspect. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What do you think he can do with Luka? And what role do you think LeBron should play, if any at all, in helping Luka maximize his potential now that you are stuck with him being a Los Angeles Laker, essentially?
I mean, I think what JJ did, calling them out, saying we weren't in championship shape. I mean, who the hell is that referring to but one person?
No.
That's nobody else on that team is out of shape like that. So look, if you, I said this before, accountability is not hate. It's the price of the damn throne. And, obviously Steph has made improvements on the defensive end. He put on weight. He's worked on it. He is a marginal defender. He's a serviceable defender. Luka is not. So that's number one. And I think number 2, LeBron knows what it is.
So you heard what Jay Williams had to say. What are my thoughts about this? He's absolutely correct. He is absolutely correct. I said this before and I'm going to say it again. JJ was showing levels of arrogance that was just unbelievable to me. It was profound. Why? It's one thing for you to be arrogant and feel like you're the SHI, you know what, when you have the resume to back it up, when you have the accomplishments and the accolades and the championships and the coaches of the year, all that stuff. But when all you have is one playoff win to your name, one playoff win, you don't get to be that arrogant. Do you know that this Lakers team became the first Lakers team in the history of the franchise to ever lose in the first round as a 3 seed going into the first round? Are y'all aware of that? It had never happened before in the history of the Lakers. It happened under JJ Redick. It happened under him. So JJ has a lot of improving to do going into next season. And I think a lot of it has to do with his temperament. He thought that he could just walk in the building and basically talk his way to an NBA championship. Oh, I'm just going to talk. And no, you got to actually go out there and win. It's actually very, very hard. Had you been a little bit more humble, you would have realized this. So I think what happened was JJ got served a little bit of humble pie. And at the end of the season, especially in the playoffs, he experienced something that he hadn't experienced at all, which was the media started calling him out. All throughout the regular season, they were covering from, JJ, he's a rookie. And I'm saying, but that's not how you treat, that's not how they treated Frank Vogel, and he won a championship. And he won a championship, so he would have deserved at least a little bit of grace. A little bit of grace. So they gave JJ all of that, and now you see the result of it. So, folks, look, I think what Jay Williams said is true, and it is what it is, and I hope they keep telling the damn truth. These are my thoughts. So, about a week or so ago, but no, just a few days ago, we produced a topic that was centered on some comments that Charles Barkley had allegedly made, where he said that if LeBron and the Lakers lose in 5 games in round 1, he is no longer a top 5 player, right? And at the time, all of us thought those comments were real. I reacted to them. A lot of people reacted to them. And one of the people that went off on Charles Barkley was Gilbert Arenas. I even think we did a live show about it, if I'm not mistaken. I think we did a live where, yeah, it was a live, where Gil took some personal shots, talked about his weight and all of this stuff. And he really went at Charles. Like, he really, he went at him, right? And I even talked to him about him, like, man, these shots, he was like, it's not personal. He said this and this and this. I'm like, it's the guy's opinion, right? So apparently those comments weren't true. And Charles Barkley recently sat down and did an interview on Outkick. And he's not the first one. We actually did an interview, not an interview, we did a show reacting to Michael Wilbon on Outkick not too long ago, which did pretty well. So Charles is on there and they're talking about everything. And then they bring up those comments, which apparently were fake. And he said he doesn't even know where those comments came from. And as he's addressing his comments, he's addressing, where he has LeBron ranked all time. He then brings up Gilbert Arenas. Excuse me. He then brings up Gilbert Arenas. And while he's talking about Gilbert Arenas, he essentially says Gilbert Arenas is an idiot. And in the process of saying that, he's like, just now all of these fools have podcasts and everybody's trying to look for a way to be relevant. And I'm like, goodness Lord, Charles Barkley ain't playing. He is not playing, and he apparently heard some of the things that Gilbert Arenas had to say about him, and he didn't mince one single syllable. So what we want to do now is we want to play exactly what Charles Barkley had to say about what Gilbert Arenas had to say, those fake comments, and what he's going to be like working at ESPN, and then we're going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to Charles here.
You said LeBron, if they lose that series, shouldn't be considered a top 5 player. You sticking by that?
No, I never said that. First of all, I don't know where that came from.
No.
I've always said LeBron on my list. He's number 7 all time. I got Wilt, Kareem, Bill Russell, Michael and Oscar. I got Kobe 6 and LeBron 7. I've never said. I saw fools talking about that. When I said fools, I'm talking like I saw Gilbert Arenas, who's an idiot, talking about, everybody's got a podcast trying to be important and significant. I've said LeBron is the 7th greatest basketball player in my opinion, and that's not like I'm saying he's the 20th, but I didn't care about that series. I thought they would win that series. I was actually kind of surprised. I didn't think they were contenders, but I didn't think they were going to win the championship.
One of the reasons I turned down, and you talk about this all the time, when I was at ESPN, they offered me 2 different radio national shows. And I said, I don't want to talk about LeBron James every freaking day, or Brett Favre, or Aaron Rodgers, or all the bullshit you got to talk about. I don't want to do that every day. Now you're going to ESPN, and you've been critical of ESPN, particularly their coverage of the Lakers. What are your thoughts as this is your last season heading over?
Yeah, Dan, I'm not going to change. I'm going to do what I want to do. Nobody's going to tell me what to say or what to do. I thought I get upset. They're like the Lakers are contenders. I'm like, no, they're not. No, they're not contenders. Kendrick Perkins, who don't know his ass from a hole in the wall. He's like, the Lakers are contenders. Lakers are contenders. And I said, they're not contenders. And clearly, if you lose in the first round, you're not a contender. But I'm not going to change my personality. Ain't nobody, they can't fire me. I make too much money to get fired.
So you heard what Charles had to say. What are my thoughts about this? Look, I think that what Charles Barkley said is inbound because of the way Gil went at him. All right. I think what Charles said was inbound because of the way Gil went at him. Now, I also think that Gil went as hard as he did at Charles because of his LeBron opinion, which tells you that Gil is a really, 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 really big LeBron supporter. For him to go that hard at Charles Barkley says that he's a really big supporter, which then makes me think, okay, are you judging this thing fairly? Because for you to start cussing out Charles Barkley essentially and saying what you said about him over LeBron James, it's like, bro, you're pretty much like, I mean, you're a little bit too much invested into his take on LeBron James. But as I said in the previous show, this is where we are. As a matter of fact, I think this morning I was going through the internet and I came across an article here from Awful Announcing. And it has the following headline. It says, Brian Windhorst, NBA player media largely has failed. And he made some pretty interesting comments that I think we should get into, which ties into all of this. So let's get into that now. So the article continues on. ESPN NBA reporter Brian Windhorst is never shy about describing what he believes are the problems in basketball media. Windhorst has been open about the fact that he believes the lack of storytelling around players and teams in the NBA is part of what has hurt the popularity of the league's on-the-court product. And he isn't afraid to criticize his own network and his colleagues for contributing to the backslide. But in a recent appearance on the Press Box podcast, Windhorst turned his attention to a different trend, player podcasts. Windhorst predicted the end of the player media explosion that has overtaken the NBA and all the sports in recent years, largely at the expense of traditional outlets and broadcasters. I suspect that there will be less player media because player media has largely failed, Windhorst said. There are obviously very successful guys and girls who have done it, but the podcast boom, at least the handing out of the money, seems to have stemmed. And I suspect that we're going to see that peel back a little bit. So you heard what Brian Windhorst had to say. He even believes that the player podcast and all of this stuff may soon go away. And I think that Windhorst brings up a good point. Folks, let's just be honest about it. This thing is run amok. These guys, some of them, and I'll talk about Gilbert Arenas here because I think he actually has a good show, but these guys, some of them were supposed to come in here and really teach us how this thing is supposed to go. They're supposed to be giving us a professional insight into the sport of basketball. And then what we quickly discovered was there was absolutely zero professionalism. Everybody was just essentially cursing up a storm. There really wasn't much thought going into a lot of these things. Not really much preparation. A lot of people felt, oh, we can just go on here, turn on the mic and shoot the breeze and people are going to listen, thinking that, well, just because I am who I am, people will listen. And then you quickly found out that that wasn't working, that a lot of these podcasts were not successful. Very few were. And those that were successful, you could see that they put the planning into it, like All the Smoke, like Gil's Arena. A lot of thought went into that. But let's just be honest, a lot of these guys are just out here blowing hot air. And I think that that's what Charles Barkley is referring to. He's like, everybody wants a platform. Everybody wants to have the ability to have an opinion. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of it out there is hot garbage. The guys in the independent space, we get criticized. Oh, y'all don't know what y'all are talking about. Oh, you guys are just, you never played in the NBA, blah, 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 blah. But it looks like even some of the guys that did play in the NBA be up there just saying a bunch of nonsense. And I think that that's what Brian Windhorst and Charles Barkley is talking about. And I think it's the damn truth. Let's keep it a buck. Just because a guy played in the NBA, that don't mean what he's saying makes sense or what he's saying is entertaining or he even has respect for the audience that he's trying to deliver his message to. Let's just keep. As you guys know, the Dallas Mavericks just got the first pick in the 2025-2026 NBA draft. And I think they're going for Cooper Flag, right? And a lot of people are like, how the hell did this happen? Just before going to bed last night, I saw, was it last night or this morning? I saw that the odds for the Dallas Mavericks to land the number one draft pick was 1.9%. 1.9%. Which means that they had like a 98% chance of not getting it, and they still got it. And I was just laughing my ass off. And people were like, this is a little bit weird. We're not going to get into that aspect of it, right? So they get the first pick. You saw Nico Harris and all of them, those guys celebrating there, right? And as they were talking about that, I began to think about how we got here. How Nico Harrison became the most hated man in the city of Dallas. And then we go back to him deciding to trade away Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis. The biggest story of the season, no doubt about it. That was the number one story of the season. And after he pulled off that trade, people were absolutely pissed off at Nico Harrison. So in the immediate aftermath of the trade, we were all trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Who knew? Who didn't know? Who didn't know? And it just so happened on the night that the trade went down, the Lakers had just beat the New York Knicks. And LeBron and them went out to dinner and the news broke. And then we later on found out via Dave McMenamin that LeBron James found out about it while at dinner. And at the time the news broke, I said LeBron didn't know. I don't think he knew. A lot of our viewers said LeBron James knew. Charles, stop being naive. He knew. He knew. And I'm like, nah, man, I don't believe it. So later on, we then started seeing signs that, wait a minute, he did know. Like Markieff Morris, who's a part of the trade, his brother Marcus Morris said, basically took us through the play-by-play about him being traded, and he said that LeBron wanted him to be a part of the trade. And I'm like, wait, what? LeBron wanted him to be a part of a trade that he didn't know about? How is this possible? So what happened this morning? Going through the internet, came across an interview of Jay Williams on Stephen A. Smith's show, talking about the playoffs and all of that. And then they were talking about the Lakers and the job that Coach J.J. Redick did. And towards the tail end of his comments, he then brings up the Lakers moving forward and LeBron James. And he said in no uncertain terms that given who LeBron is in the NBA and the amount of respect that he has earned, there is no way that LeBron did not know that the Lakers were trading away Anthony Davis for Luka Doncic. There was no way he didn't know. And he basically said, but I'm not going to say anything because LeBron and them going to cap regardless. Like he was like, well, LeBron is going to, that's essentially what he said. So what we want to do now is going to play exactly what Jay Williams had to say about whether or not he believes LeBron James knew about this trade. And I'm going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to Jay Williams here.
LeBron knows what it is. I mean, at this stage, your team made the move. And he had to know, S.A. He had, somebody had to call LeBron James on the phone and say, yo, like he's earned that respect. There's no way they made that move without him. Now he can say whatever he wants to say. It's LeBron. I respect that. But ain't nobody making no move on your show without calling you. I know that for a fact. Ain't nobody making a move on my company without calling me. I know that for a fact. So if that's happening, if you gave it the blessing, it's your job to say, yo, it's time. It's time for you to get this to the next gear. And he has to be that big bro. That's the only way.
And he has to be that big bro. As far as I'm concerned, you on the basketball court, if cats ain't maximizing their potential, they holding you back. Just like you just brought me up and what have you. You coming on the show, you ain't doing your damn job, you ain't gonna be there. I don't give a damn who you are. I'm like, what? We trying to win. We trying to win. We can't just sit idly by and let anything happen.
So you heard what your man Jay Williams had to say. What are my thoughts about what Jay Williams had to say? I think that he's absolutely correct, and he brought up a good point. You think about LeBron's tenure in the NBA. He's played for 22 years. You think about the respect that he's earned. You think about the fact that he's a leader of the Lakers in terms of the franchise. So how could he not know that trade was going to go down? And then when you look at the series of events that have taken place since, like what I just brought up at the beginning of the show, the Dallas Mavericks end up with the number one pick. That don't make some of y'all scratch your head and be like, yo, is this whole thing a movie? The Dallas Mavericks that inexplicably traded away Luka Doncic, and people had their reasons. Oh, Dallas thought he was out of shape or whatever. Nevertheless, they traded him away. It wasn't a popular trade for them, especially for Nico and Dallas. They go through what they went through. AD gets injured. The first game he comes back. Kyrie then gets injured. He doesn't come back in the season. And then out of nowhere, they land the number one draft pick. Don't that make some of y'all scratch your head and be like, is this thing orchestrated? Is this staged? I'm not saying that's what it is, but it causes one to ask the question, like, this isn't normal, guys. These series of events play out in a very strange way. And then now you have Jay Williams, who's a connected guy in the business, knows a lot of people, knows a lot of players, was a former player, is essentially coming out there and saying LeBron James knew. He knew. Now, is this one of those things where it's like, okay, I'm gonna give you Luka, and then you give me this, and then we think this is an expiring asset, and then later on we're gonna scratch it back towards the draft? I don't know. I certainly don't know. But what we do know is that a number of NBA players have said LeBron knew. A good number. Jay Williams, Marcus Morris Sr., Matt Barnes, Steve, a whole bunch of them knew. And if he did know, son snaked AD. Because Anthony Davis said he had no clue. And he also said he doesn't believe that nobody knew that a trade of that magnitude went down and no one knew anything about it. He finds that very hard to comprehend and frankly to swallow. But then again, this is your man LeBron James. He strikes once again. And who knows, he may strike one more time before he retires, and we just got to wait to see who is going to get struck by King James.